I'm recording lots of videos and I'm uploading them because, obviously I'm uploading them, but I'm making them more or less public, which is, what's to lose by making them public. I just got lots to think about, and I just got so much to think about, and I'm at such a crossroads because as I've spoken about, it's just a fucking hell. It's a hell of a dilemma whether or not to commit suicide or not. It's sort of quite awful when they're like, there's no obvious sort of front runner. Like it's, like putting animals and stuff out of their misery, and sometimes in wars, and you'll find someone who's just in such bad shape that you just, like soldier just fucking puts a few bullets through to whatever, end the suffering, and it's like, well, by ending the life of something, the consciousness of something, the bit in that suffers, you're not giving it a life that's worth living. All you're doing is taking the suffering away, and it's very mind-fucky kind of concept to kind of get your head around, like, as an improvement, like it's not really saving anybody. It's because it's not. I mean, once that person's dead, they're not a somebody, and it's. And I have a lot of suicidal ideation, as they call it, although I don't think it's suicidal ideation as people intend it to mean, such as, like a desire to stop living, because it's not a desire to stop living. It's really not. It's a desire to stop suffering, and it's not just plain suffering, because I'm really like, if it weren't for this sort of dilemma about how to spend the next few weeks of what I don't really, I don't want to tempt fate, and I don't like putting it on words, but maybe the last few weeks of having my home, I'd be perfectly capable if I could just decide, look, we're just gonna die at the end of it. I could be perfectly capable of, having very high quality of life for that period. I'm not trying to escape any kind of suffering that exists now. I'm trying to, the suffering I'd escape is the suffering that would be done to me if I lost my home, and which is more complicated than it sounds on the surface, because not everyone has the same prospects as others to, rebuild a life. And for quite a few months I just really did not feel I had any kind of energy or will to put these video diaries down. It was just really beyond me to do that, and I didn't feel I could manage it or that it would comfort me, and I've sort of gone back to it a bit. you know, the last time I made a decision in this situation, it was to try and, well, it was either to stay in Wellington or to move somewhere else, and if I moved somewhere else, would it be Christchurch or Dunedin? Really, that was that decision I made, and I'm in the same position now, except the decision I'm making is not whether to, you know, which city to move to, but it's whether to stay alive or not. And I knew that there was never any chance in hell that I wanted to go back to Wellington. But nonetheless, moving to Christchurch is a decision that can be reversed or changed, whereas dying can't be. And yay. Yeah, kind of got a bit of an existential kind of, you know, fucking thing going on anyway. All my goddamn fucking life. So it's yeah, I don't have the kind of brain that just can rest easy with a choice. And I had got there before. And the really big time that I got there before was when when the death was intended to be more or less sort of to occur within an hour. And that didn't happen. The first time it was to have a few weeks or months and then just, yeah, fade away. And yeah, God, fucking getting to that point where I actually took that bunch of pills. Not an overdose. It was an attempt to have an interaction. Very, very, very different. Overdoses are generally not very successful. But an interaction, on the other hand, can be, yeah, pretty successful. Yeah. And the circumstances that surrounded that were rather different. Yeah, I was in a different situation. I was, there were pressures on me at that moment that really put the weight on dying toot sweet, pretty much the best decision, and yeah, now, you know, I'm just back to that thing, like I just looked through my videos, and one of the I think the first videos I uploaded or made were the ones in October when, you know, that scumbag Diane, like, you know, put through at the last minute that application to evict me, just, you know, totally blindsided me. It was an ambush, exactly like the article said, just ambushed me. And that was when I was just like, okay, well, gotta die. How do I do this? How the fuck do I do this? It was very distressing. And so I just put that back again, and it's just horrible. That was October, November, December, January, February, March. Oh, I don't know, whatever that is, like 8 months ago. Yeah, it's like, I just want to be alive. And, you know, I don't know what it is, but there are two things, and it's like, one, I look at my arms, and then I look at my clothes when I'm in bed, because I think about a lot in bed, and then I just look at my little bits and pieces, and I think about all these little household sort of schedules that I have ticking by, and, you know, my little kind of, I guess, like Japanese and Korean sort of space-saving little tools, and just those sort of funny things that just make me think that death would be so tragic, and then often when I think about dying, and I think about it a hell of a lot. What jumps into my head quite often is just me going for a walk down, the street, and it's autumn, and I say hi to a couple of cats, and it's just like that mundanity of my life that's so meaningful to me. And how do people make these decisions? Oh. And when I first started thinking about it quite seriously, and that was when I moved to Christchurch at about July. I kind of wish I didn't move here on the 27th of June, because I always have to say the 27th of June, because if I say June it makes it sound like more like kind of the 10th of June or something. Oh, but anyway, I moved here late June, and was just in such deep anguish, and from the deep gouging wounds that I had carried, that really felt almost too severe to recover from, and with no help, no help to be found. The only thing that could be described as help was the pseudo help of family interfering and making my trauma and hardship so much worse, inflicting enormous emotional damage on me. It was just so horrible. It was just so horrible what they were doing to me. And people can abuse you without meaning to, and nonetheless, with the best intentions, that's just what happens. But I don't think the best of intentions are afoot at all. I don't think that these particular family members who had close contact with me, being in the vicinity, were intending to harm me, but I do know that they were not at all interested in hearing my preferences for being helped, and that they placed more importance on their sense of feeling offended that I did not find their interference helpful, than they did on my need to be supported. And then behind all that, I know my mother was behind a lot of all of this, and I don't know what her deal is exactly, but I don't know what her deal is, but it's become something lately happened, and it's like, yeah, no, that woman does not love me. No, she does not. And even though I was raised without a real mother, doesn't mean I was raised without the primal need for a mother. No, it's still trying to find. It's not there. And I don't have any friends. And I mean absolutely no offence to those who have regard and fondness for me and would want to help if they practicably could. The person that I have relied on the most is extremely cruel to me, sadistically cruel, and he times it very well. He times it just when I need him the most. Yeah, that's his deal, that's his thing. And my desperation sometimes just makes me go back. And, because even just getting a hug or something. And then my closest friend is, as I've said, I mean, she's probably in well, it's not a competition, but I would really have to say it's a photo finish between who's in a worse state, and I don't think, we're able to do anything to, rescue each other. So in a sense, I don't really have her friendship because she's pretty much incapacitated, and in that sense I'm not really able to be her friend anymore for the same reason, because I'm pretty broken. I can't respond the way that I like to. And yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that I don't have anyone. Yeah, I think I'm pretty safe to say that. And I've started waking in the mornings lately with just this sense of dread that's already there by the time my brain, comes into consciousness. It's just this dread and this kind of fear. And if you saw me, you'd see me snuggled up in bed, and you'd think that looks like a person who's comfortable, if not indulging herself, but it's someone who's just got no idea how to start her day. It is better when I make myself get up, and I take my meds, and I make a coffee, and I go back and sit in bed, because my routine has, for a very long time, been the thing that's always held me together, and that's something that I developed, reasonably, kind of that quarter life sort of point where I realised I was sick of living in chaos, and so, I have my routine, and my routine is my lifeline, and it's not a real safety barrier, but it feels like a safety barrier, and so I have all these things that I do, this routine, and it's what I found so difficult the first time that I was being bullied. I mean, when I say bullied, I mean just terrorised in my flat, 515 Adelaide Road in Wellington. Nikki Limited, Bobby and Lisa Serafakis, like just horrible, like evil, like truly evil people. Truly evil. And yeah, their mob. It's a different situation in superficial ways as to the one I'm in now, but again, just evil, purely evil people. I didn't used to believe in pure evil for humans, but yeah, I do now. I mean, there's such evil that, there's nothing that you could do that would redeem the evil. Just the torturing someone to suicide, which is what they're doing, and they know, they know that, and they're totally in the wrong. I've done nothing wrong, it's not even about not giving a tenant some space to move and, giving her a second chance. It's like I've never needed a second chance. They've been in the wrong the whole time, These are just pure evil people. And I just I sort of think, I can't calm myself because I feel like I'm quite a remarkable person, really, for surviving. I've survived. I'm really traumatized. And I've had more kicks in the teeth than I have pats on the head, It's like this, I don't know what, like, how many people are there like me? There must be quite a few, people who just nobody thinks of as sort of existing. And as I said in another video, I think they're probably mostly men. I think that's the case. Because it is true, as feminists say, men get more respect. And without even saying whether that's justified or not, we can just say, okay, we could say, well, yes, that's a shame that women don't get as much respect. But the truth, the other part of the story, the other half of the truth is that women get more love. And we also know that the distribution around the mean of male social you know, dispersion is, and all kinds of things like intellect and that kind of stuff is, yeah, you're really spread out. You know, like, you wouldn't even call them outliers. It's just like there are so many, it's so spread out there, you know, there aren't really that many outliers. You know, it's just like very evenly spaced, whereas women tend to be sort of clustered around the centre, and there are a few outliers, but so the men who get more respect are not all men. You can say that most of the respect that's given socially is to men, but it doesn't mean that it's evenly distributed among men. Whereas love is pretty, most women get plenty of love, and that has different sort of meanings, I suppose, but it just does mean that we're cared about more in society, and there are more places for us to go for help, and we get more sympathy, and, you know, we're, you know, like, get more compassion, and, you know, way before this shit started happening to me, I was just thinking, God, how absolutely miserable to be a man who isn't one of those men that feminists can see. You know, feminists can't see. Most men, the only men feminists see are the ones at the top of the pyramid. They can't even recognise the rest of them, and that's female privilege. You don't even have to recognise those, as I've so politely said to some online. You don't even know the men who fish or use tampons out of the sewer exist. You know, and I remember seeing, yeah, I think it was on YouTube or something. It was, yeah, a picture of it was a very quick movie of I mean, I suppose he kind of had that incel kind of neckbeardy kind of look or whatever, you know, sitting at his computer, and, yeah, he just pulls out a fucking pistol, and, yeah, and it wasn't gruesome, he just dropped. And it was just shocking, because the point of seeing the video, if anyone showed it to you, it was not to tell you what happened in it. It's like, well, and I did post my attempt to kill myself with those meds online, and was not to get attention, like, you know, like in that kind of pejorative sense, but it was to get because I did think that I was going to die, and that's why I didn't keep filming for all that long, because I thought that it was probably going to happen quite quickly, and that if I didn't post it to YouTube, then I was probably going to die without it being published, and no one would know, and it was just because I'm so desperate for someone to know what I was going through. I'm so scared. And I thought someone might see it and think, shit. She was alone, and I feel something for her, because at the time it was the only comfort I had, is that maybe someone else would see later, and that would have the effect of, in some ways, sort of being with me. I'm really not sure that I can go through that again, and I just really don't know. Like, I don't know how to do it. Like I don't, and if I knew something for sure would work that was kind of unpleasant, then I could plan to do it. But I don't know. Like, I don't know any way to make it happen for sure. Like I just don't, and there's a real danger in it failing. I mean, a huge danger, you know, because the point is to escape, not just get myself into fucking trouble with the fucking mental health service or whatever it is. I mean, the thing is that if I choose to die, it's because my life is no longer, it's no longer worth anything, you know. It's gonna, and worse than that, it's gonna be painful to live. So I don't want to survive an attempt, and I don't know how to die. Like, I just fucking don't know. I don't know. I've got a few ideas, but I just don't know. I don't think I could make myself bleed out. I think that's just one thing that I couldn't do. And so the other thing that I was sort of thinking was that if I can't, then the next idea is kind of a bit along the lines of dying of renal failure, but it's dying of bowel cancer. And I think that's probably a much more plausible option. And I, you know, again, like, I don't have to take any medical treatment if I don't want to. I missed my colonoscopy because of what I was going through, and I just keep missing them. And you know, I've had colonoscopies sort of about every 9 months for the past, I guess, 3 years. And it's always been not just a colonoscopy, but it's been cutting out quite a lot of these particular kind of polyps that have got very high cancer risk. Yeah, and yeah, that sounds like if I could just sort of get into some sort of fucking shitty housing situation and just wait for that to happen, I guess. You know, just... And I know I repeat myself quite a lot because I'm not here to fucking please any kind of audience, like, for God's sake. It's just for me, really, and making them public makes me feel like there's at least a non-zero chance that someone's sympathetic. Comes across what I'm experiencing. And it's just quite amazing that my kind of most realistic dream is dying of bowel cancer and some, shitty sort of hostel. I'm not the only one. No, it's lots of us. And I don't mind just being left alone to just fade away, but I just want to be left alone. I just want people to leave me alone. I also want some